Hello, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna do semi-quick recap of Love is Blind DC season 7, episodes 1 through 6. But I will say I've only gotten through midway through episode 5. So by the time I finish this video, I probably would have already watched episode 6. It's been hard to watch all these episodes. I don't know if it's because I haven't seen US Love is Blind since season 2 where it started to go downhill, but I have been struggling to finish each episode. I feel like every episode of this season I've had secondhand embarrassment and cringe. I don't know, it's definitely the cast. The people they cast for this season are boring, have no personality, trauma dump a lot, and just all around problematic. It's really disappointing. And as someone who lives in the DMV area in Northern Virginia, it's so interesting to see the kind of people that were casted and how they're behaving, because DC DMV area, it's known for a lot of people are in government jobs, tech, business, and it looks like the cast that was chosen for this season, some of them are in marketing, a lot of former military who are now consultants, and there's no way this would have been a true DC season. I'm not surprised they had to cast outside of DC because people are in government jobs. They're not trying to get rid of their security clearance or quit their benefits and stuff like that. So yeah, this season has been rough. I don't think anyone will get married this season. And if anyone does, the only people I could kind of see as of now, without seeing the Mexico trip or the visits that they do with each other's family and friends, without seeing that, maybe the only person I could see that could say yes is, God, what's her name again? Oh, Taylor and Garrett. They both have good jobs. They're both, I think, scientists, and they're both nerdy. They kind of have similar vibes. Although Garrett, I've been side-eyeing him since he said that Taylor not disclosing her ethnicity, because she's half Asian, Taylor not disclosing her ethnicity was a problem. And I'm like, the whole purpose of the show is so you don't know what the person looks like. He called her calculated. Granted, this could be the editing, but from what was shown, he called her calculated and that she's hiding stuff. And I'm like, how? Why do you want to know what her ethnicity? Wait till the reveal. And then he was like, I date white girls usually. And it was just a bunch of whole unnecessary stuff. So they're the only ones I think that could kind of work in the real world because of their similar occupations, and they seem to have a relatively level head on their shoulders. Now, I took notes each episode, and initially when I was deciding to make a video recap, reaction, whatever you want to call it, of Love is Blind DC this season, I thought I would do it episode by episode, but since this season has really just dragged on and it seems like the same things are repeating, I was like, you know what, screw it. Also, I was like, I need to just tell this to people. I need to talk to y'all about this because it's too much. So I talked about Ashley and, oh, sorry, not Ashley. I'll get to her in a sec. I talked about Taylor and Garrett. The main bane of my existence, and I'm sure a lot of y'all's, Leo. This man, anytime he talks, it is exhausting. I feel like my blood pressure is rising every single time he talks. And I feel like my brain cells are also depleting anytime he talks, specifically to his two connections, Brittany and Hannah. I think between the three of them is just no intellect is passing at all. They're all dumb. They're all dumb. But Leo is he's so mean and he's so arrogant, he's so rude, he's so entitled. Him talking about how he don't want a woman who will be with him just because of his money. So you're thinking, oh, okay, so he wants someone who'd want him for him. Yet he makes sure to talk about how he's so blessed financially and he grew up going to country clubs and fancy schools, and he's an art dealer, like his family has an art dealing business, and blah 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 blah. Like, if you really cared about a woman marrying you for you and not for your money, why are you bragging about your wealth? Like him showing the men in their quarters in the pods, oh, this is my Rolex watch, and look at how much money I have. Like, he's obnoxious, period. Like, and it's interesting. I thought his other connection, Hannah, I thought her other connection, Nick, I thought he would be the Sam, as in Sam from Love is Blind UK. I thought he would be the Sam US counterpart of the season. But as I kept watching the episodes, it was very clear that the Sam of this season, of the US season, is Leo. They are both liars. They're both narcissistic. They're both mean. They're both bullies. Like, they're absolutely horrible. And neither should be dating anybody. And then Leo talks about how he, like, pretty much everyone in his family, immediate family, has cancer. And two of his family members died from cancer. And he says it so nonchalantly, like it's not a big deal. And it's like, brother, why are you on the show? But then he's like, I'm so grateful to have this business that I've been given, I've inherited because of basically all of them dying. Like, it's hella weird. It is hella weird. Like, shouldn't you be in therapy then? You know, like going to grief therapy if it's really, it, like, he should not be on a dating show. But here he is, acting obnoxious and entitled and rude. So Leo, Brittany, Hannah, like anytime they're on my screen, I just zone out because there's no substance to their conversation. Absolutely nothing. Brittany, she's like, I want to be a trophy wife. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, thank you for letting us know straight up and for telling the guys like straight up that you want to be a trophy wife. However, why are you entertaining a guy like Leo who is just ping-ponging you back and forth? You and Hannah back and forth. Like, is it because of the possibility that he could have money? Like, girl, I'm sure you've been with other wealthy people, and Brittany did say that. She said she's been with rock stars and athletes, according to her. But it's like, why are you tolerating a man like Leo who is so rude and doesn't respect her at all, actually? But I don't know. The three of them, including Nick, they got some weird thing going on. But the interesting thing, I thought Nick, out of this weird foursome that they got going on, Leo, Hannah, Brittany, and Nick has the most personality out of the four of them, and that's saying something. Like, Nick started off, I think the first two episodes, as this like smooth talker, talking to the women about how he used to be a football player, American football for people who are not from America. So he was like, he's a football player and he played like professionally, but not the NFL, like the Canadian Football League. And I think the XFL is like a sub league under the NFL. So he was like portraying himself as this like big man who's hot and so cool and so not necessarily wealthy, but just like popular, right? And really handsome. Like, Nick started comparing himself to Travis Kelce and Henry Cavill, which is so disrespectful. I'm sorry. As someone who is a big Henry Cavill fan, Henry Cavill is very good looking. Like, Nick, really? You do not look anything like Henry Cavill. You do not look anything like Travis Kelce. Like, why are you trying to hype yourself or exaggerate how you look like to the women, to get like matches? Like, no, the whole point of the show is you're supposed to be talking, connecting through like your personalities, your interests. Like, you're not supposed to be talking about looks, which seems to be a big issue this season. Like, I don't know why Netflix isn't, or the production company, whoever, for Love is Blind, like, why they're not scolding the cast for actively talking about their looks, like, in the pods. The whole point is to not know what the other person looks like. But throughout the whole season, at least for the first couple episodes I've watched, people are asking about, they're just straight up saying their race and ethnicity, or they're asking about it, or they're talking about like their height, how much they weigh. Like, they're literally giving everything away. So the only thing that just doesn't match up is, okay, they haven't seen each other physically, but they're piecing things together. And I'm like, why? Like, the whole point of the show is so you don't know what each other looks like. So they're just breaking rules left and right. Excuse me. Another thing that was interesting is, because it's the DMV, because it's DC, right? There was more talks about politics this season than there previously was. Like, they were talking about voting in the election and like Trump and Biden. And I was like, okay, we've never really like done this before, but I guess we're doing it now, where we're talking about our politics, which I think is a good thing, especially with the political climate in the last like decade. It's not been hot. It has been, but in a very detrimental, very negative way. I personally don't think that we're at the stage anymore where people can be from different political ends of the spectrum and date and get married, because it's just not, politics isn't that like cordial environment anymore. Politics is so tied to our way of life nowadays that it's just not easy to separate it anymore. Like, you talk about, you vote for this candidate, you didn't vote for this candidate, and it will start a fight. I mean, I think Trump's election really kind of like it divided a lot of families. Like, it broke up a lot of families. So this, while I do think it's good in some ways that the cast did talk about like politics for a bit, because at least you know where you stand, right? So yeah, that luckily didn't get too much airtime, but it was discussed this season. Another observation I've made throughout watching the couple of episodes, is that the men really seem to be putting minimal effort. Like, anytime they've had the pod dates and stuff, and the women are like, or yeah, they're doing the dates and stuff, and maybe they're doing painting or whatever, and the women are talking to, their matches, like, oh, like, I love you, I like that you do this for me. Or they're giving a lot. The women this season are giving a lot of their energy and expressing themselves, like really going all out to express how they feel about these men. And I don't see the same energy from the men. Like, the men are just kind of like accepting it, but they're not really actively declaring their love for these women and really talking about like what it is about the women that they like. It's very one-sided, and I don't like it. And I think once it gets to Mexico, with all the engaged couples, and then the subsequent episodes when they're living together and like visiting family and friends, the cracks are going to start showing. Because I mean, Taylor brought what did she bring? Taylor brought love letters from her grandparents, I think during World War II or something like that, and like read these things to Garrett. Garrett got her some stuff too, like he got her honey and like a flower, which, okay, cute, but like Taylor wrote, was reading a whole like deep letter to Garrett, to some guy like she just met, right? And says she loves. Oh God, was it Marissa? No, Marissa actually. I didn't see her write a letter, so maybe she was the slight exception. But I think Alex wrote something that was really deep. Ashley wrote something. Ashley A, who's with Tyler, wrote something really deep. Like, a lot of the women wrote these long declarations, and the guys were not given that same energy. It was really weird, and I think this will not bode well as the episodes go on, because the men are giving, not like, they're not giving enough effort. What else was ooh, okay. And then on top of the men not giving any effort, a lot of the men were also trauma dumping, and it was getting really exhausting. Tim in particular. Like, I get it. I really do. I do. Tim said he lost two of his sisters. And as someone who has lost someone close to me very recently, I get it. Grief is painful. It's horrible. especially if it's recent. But even if it's years later, it's still hard to deal with. I get that. I understand that. However, if Tim knew he's still dealing with this and he's not quite ready to live with his grief in a healthy way, he should not have been on this dating show. He should be in therapy to really talk through his grief, because he pretty much used every single date with Alex as a trauma dumping session. Like, Alex wrote this, I'm pretty sure Alex wrote like a whole soliloquy about why she loves him, da 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 da. But Tim, it's always been about like my deceased sisters, and this is what my deceased, like, every date Alex left crying. And he even acknowledged that he left the date. He always leaves the dates like heavy. He was like, let's talk about something light. And then when it kind of moves into that direction, he goes right back into trauma dumping. It's like, no, no, no. That's not a healthy way to begin a relationship. Because let's say after you're done talking about, his deceased sisters, it's like, okay, but what else? There's nothing else to the relationship, because it wasn't based on anything you actually liked about the other person. Like, he keeps talking about how, like, his sisters would have loved her, and like he gives Alex like a bracelet that one of his deceased sisters wore. Keeps talking about how, like, Alex would basically replace or be another daughter for his parents. Like, he's not really focusing on Alex as a person. Like, I feel like he's just glad that she's someone to listen to. Like, she can hear his grief and she's just listening to it, and that's it. And she, I think, is mistaking the trauma bonding for love, because then she's like, oh, I love you. And I'm like, no. Neither of you know each other. Like, you don't. This is not a healthy relationship. It's not built on mutual interests, mutual values. It's just built on trauma bonding, and it's really unhealthy. And I do think Tim should be in therapy instead of being on the show, because it is not fair to the partner to basically use them as your resource or your therapist to unload heavy. Like, can they come to you? Like, let's say they're going through something, can they even come to you to express like any pain that they're feeling? Because they might not even feel comfortable talking to you about any struggles that they're going through, because they'll think, oh, well, if I say what I'm feeling, they might judge me, or they might, push my issues aside because it trumps more than the grief that the person is experiencing. So I don't see them lasting at all. And I think that's one of the reasons at the reveal with Alex and Tim that kind of gave her the ick. And then he was also doing this like dog like thing, and I was like, why? Like, why are we, grunting and saying I'm a dog, I'm a dog? Like, that's weird. No one, don't talk to a woman like that, please. No one wants to hear that you're a dog. Like, just, I don't know, act normal. It's weird. It's weird. I do agree. Like, and you could tell Alex is uncomfortable because she kept saying like, please stop, and he just kept going at it, and it was just given immature to me. God, who's another guy? All the guys are just, I don't know. And then I'm hearing, and then the internet streets are saying that Tyler, who I thought was pretty good, I thought him and Ashley A like would match up well. He seemed really attentive to her, and they both had similar values, at least from the edited clips we're seeing. But come to find out, on the internet streets, he has 3 children. 3 children that he has not mentioned at all. And who knows if he mentioned anything of his kids to Ashley A, because that is just diabolical. I mean, you are lying and erasing a whole part of yourself, your children, to just create a whole new personality, a whole new persona in front of a different person, and making them believe that you're this God-fearing, honest, hardworking man, when really you have a secret family that you completely abandoned. Like, how does Netflix find these people? It's like every season it is a problem. There has to be one cray person that just ruins it for the rest of the show. But this season in particular, it just seems that there's a lot of uncommitted or like non-committal people in relationships, a lot of trauma dumping, a lot of negativity, a lot of aggressiveness, just unserious people. Yeah, let's put it that. Unserious people. It's a lot of unserious people this season. I don't see anyone really ready to get married. Another point. Uh God, what's their name? Monica and Steven. So Steven, Lord. Okay, so I think Steven, he has a way with words, and I don't mean that in a 100% good way, because first he starts talking about how he's technically uh holds the title of being a cheater, and I was like, okay, so we're starting off on the wrong foot here. Putting flowery words where there need not be. It's like, I'm technically hold the title for being a cheater because I felt that I did not deserve the woman I was with at the time, and I had a flirtation thing going on with a woman in the DMs, but I regretted it. And the way he just talked around it, and then Monica, herself is just like, oh, it's okay, it's okay, I forgive a lot. I'm like, girl, no, it is not your place to forgive him for his active decision to cheat. Like, that's what he pretty much said with extra words. He cheated on his girlfriend with another woman by sliding into DMs, because then he started talking about like there's a different types of cheating. I'm like, no, cheating is cheating. You stepped out of a committed relationship where the other person was not aware that you were messing around, and then maybe you got caught or you eventually admitted it. Like, no, it's cheating, Steven. It is cheating. You cheated. We can acknowledge it in a mature way and then like move on. But I was just like, oh man, this man, he's testing the waters to see how much BS Monica will tolerate. And from the way Monica was responding, it seems like she's okay with it. And I think it's because Monica wants to get married at any cost. Like, as the episodes have kept going on, and she talks about how she's 36 years old, she's gone to many baby showers, many weddings, and she's kind of in this like, okay, when is it going to be my turn? And so she thought, okay, this show, great opportunity. Maybe I can meet my husband, which I think is okay to have. It's an okay mindset to have. But I think she's willing to get engaged and married to almost anybody because she wants to be part of that, oh, I'm married crew. She wants to be married, have family. And again, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with wanting to be married and start a family. Very valid. But if you're doing it at the expense of like sacrificing yourself, your values, just to have a ring on your finger, that's not going to end well. To accept a man who basically said, I cheat or I cheated in more ways than none, and you're just like, oh, I forgive you, like you're quick to just be like, it's like, no, that's not right. Like, you still need to be selective. You will get the right person. It will take time, but doesn't mean you should just jump at the first person that says, yeah, I'll marry you, because they do get engaged. And their reveal was interesting. I didn't think it didn't seem like she was that into him at the reveal. He was making out with her aggressively. Like, damn. Like, the way Steven's neck, or his neck was on her neck, and his hand was on her neck, and just his lips all over her lips. Like, he was a little pushy into it. I was like, okay, dang, like, relax, Steven. But she was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get married to you and blah blah blah. But she was looking at her ring finger a lot, and that just told me she would have been engaged to anyone else. The fact that she's engaged, it feels like an accomplishment for her, and that's fine with her. I really don't think it's even about Steven at all. Oh God, what's the other couple? There's another couple I haven't touched. Oh yeah, Marissa and Ramses. So Marissa initially starts with Ramses and Bowden. And Bowden is in the military, just like how Marissa was. And then Ramsey is this like sort of hippie, like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess hippie, like laid back. Even though I don't actually think he's laid back. I do think he's not playing a persona per se, but I do think the laid back progressive vibe that he's giving, I don't think it's 100% authentic. Because Ramses starts talking about, like, toxic masculinity and how, like, he doesn't do any of that, and he's very much into, non-traditional roles. Like, he's not into traditional gender roles, he's not religious. I'm like, okay, okay. But when it came to that particular part of the conversation, like the gender roles and stuff, the way he was answering, I was like, I don't believe that. I just don't think you like to put in any kind of effort at all into a relationship. Because she would ask him, like, are you, do you fix stuff around the house? And he was like, I can, which is basically like, no, I haven't, and I probably won't. She talks about how she would actually want her partner to be a stay-at-home dad while she works, and she asked him how he feels about that, and he's like, well, I work remotely, so I don't mind watching the kids for a bit. And I'm looking at him like, what? Those are your kids, bro. Like, there is no I don't mind watching them home. You are at home, you work at home, those are your kids. There's no such thing as I'll watch them for a bit. You're not an external party. Those are your children. You should be watching them and taking care of them. They are also your children. So, like, it's stuff like that he says where I'm like, this whole, new age, like modern hippie liberal, I don't think he's 100% that way. I don't. And then there's Bowden, who's the military guy, and I thought they had like a cute back and forth. I kind of like them together. But then Bowden's Ukrainian, and Bowden talked about how, like, he asked to go be stationed in Ukraine around the time of the beginning of the Ukraine war. And while it was heartwarming in a way, there was something about it that just seemed off. Like, he kept on saying he went there to go join or go fight, and I'm like, okay, but what were you doing? Like, what were you doing in Ukraine? Like, he didn't specify it. It was kind of weird. Like, he kind of just left it there, like, yeah, I just had to go. Yeah, go to do what? Like, what were you doing in Ukraine? It was a little shifty the way he answered that. So I was like, But then the streets are saying that Bowden actually has SA allegations against him, and I'm just like, can we have one season, Netflix, Love is Blind, where we're not picking or casting guys, because it's really guys. It's really the guy cast members that we're finding out a lot of, like, really toxic stuff about. Can we have one season where the guys are not abusers, narcissists, just toxic men all around? Like, can we just have a normal season with guys who are just the bare minimum decent? They don't have any skeletons in their closet. They're just your normal everyday man. Like, why must we have problematic guys on this show? Like, I don't know. Casting, we get you want some drama, but, like, this isn't it. And this season in particular has been very boring. It has been very boring. Like, in their midst of trying to make drama, the cast that they've chosen, especially on the men's side, has been very dull. Like, a lot of them just have no personalities. They're not having any, intellectual or meaningful conversations. It's very surface level. And if they are, we're not seeing it. And if the producers cut out, or the editors cut out, a lot of the conversation that may have been more, like, intellectually stimulating, they're dirty for that, because they're doing us dirty, because it's like, bro, like, this is not exciting. After watching Love is Blind UK, I was just like, is this how we Americans talk? Like, are we this dry? This cannot be the same Love is Blind USA I watched in season 2. How is it this boring? How are the people here this dull and not interesting and not magnetic? Like, this cannot be real life. But alas, it is, I guess. So I'm going to finish the rest of episode 5, and then I'll watch episode 6. But I just wanted to quickly hop on here and tell y'all some of my thoughts. I'm sure there's more that I've written down that I don't even fully remember, but I'm gonna leave it at here, I think. So please drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think about, if you're watching Love is Blind DC. season 7, what you think about it, if you agree with any of my points, and I'll catch y'all in the next batch of episodes. And yeah, so be sure to like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.